morning. Welcome back to Fantasy Baseball Code Red on radio.com.
Did you order the Code Red?
You don't have to answer that question.
I'll answer the question. You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth.
Oh, you're going to get the truth today.
You're getting the truth from me, I can tell
It's all about
you.
the truth today. How you doing, General?
Very good. Good morning.
Good morning. Commish?
Doing good, Admiral?
Doing well? All right, let's get this puppy going. All right, you want the truth? Here we go. We're going to start off with an update on the biogenesis nightmare. We've got the suspension, obviously, with Ryan Braun. He's getting 65 games, losing about $3 or $4 million in salary. Good for him. Right now, we're awaiting suspensions on, 13 players?
I think 14, including A-Rod.
14, including the man of the hour.
The ringleader, if you will.
The ringleader. A-Rod, what's going on?
Well, I don't know. You know, he's going about his business like nothing's happening. This guy's on TV yesterday after he hits a home run in a Double-A game, like anybody cares. And he's talking about how we got to clean up baseball and get rid of PEDs. I mean, is this guy out of his mind?
First of all, from what I hear, he hit a pretty long home run and kind of hot-dogged a little bit. Flipped the bat, stood
I
by,
saw it, but I
admired the flight of the ball. I got to tell you, I mean, I heard an interview with him, and he said that, but he also had the nerve. I'm going to be very careful with my language here.
Yeah,
today,
don't
guys.
curse this week, will you, please? They're getting ready to throw us out of here anyway.
All right, we'll do the G-rated version today. He had the nerve to say that this situation with him.
I think audacity would be a better word.
The arrogance
Yes.
to say that this situation is not fair to his fans and his teammates. Are you kidding me? Alex, are you kidding me?
Come back to us, Alex.
And what gets me is he goes up there and he talks about, how he wants PEDs out of the game, and yet he's sitting in the background with his lawyers talking about a plea bargain, which means you're guilty, number one.
Hey, Al Capone's against tax evasion too. Just in.
Listen, you know what? Major League Baseball has a mountain of evidence on this guy. They are going for a 200-game suspension if he negotiates. Right. If he doesn't, they're going for a lifetime ban.
And they'll fight it out later.
Yeah. He is going to appeal this.
Right.
He thinks he's going to be on the field
on
in
Monday.
Yankees uniform
right?
On Monday. This guy has lost touch with reality.
I will whistle Dixie in Macy's window at high noon if number 13 takes the field on Monday.
I'll do it with you, and I will be naked.
Oh, you call Matt Harvey.
Can't top that one.
Listen, let me tell you something. This guy is out of control. He's out of control. It's a situation where he needs to negotiate a settlement with MLB and ride off quietly into the sunset. Money is not an issue for this guy. If he never steps on the field again, between what he's already earned and the fact that Texas still owes him $40 million.
And
Yes.
he's going to get that.
And he's going to get it.
suspended.
He's
Yes.
going to get it. It's going to be paid, over time. It's going to actually be worth about $50 million.
That's
by
a
the time
Bobby
it's all
Bonilla
paid.
deal.
Okay? Yeah.
With interest.
I mean, you know what? The whole thing's supposed to go down, I guess, Monday. So Everett Cabrera and Colon and the whole group of guys,
But
all
not
getting
all those guys are getting suspended. They've already been suspended previously,
Right. Well,
and it's
a couple
time
of them.
served here. So
All right, but most of them are out of that 13 or 14 are going to get suspended, probably for 50 games. But this A-Rod thing, I mean, this guy really, he's an embarrassment to the game. He's an embarrassment to himself. I mean, how this guy looks in the mirror every day, I really don't understand.
What's even crazier is 4 years ago, right? He went on Katie Kirk and he denied the whole
Yes.
thing, and then he's just an outright liar. And then
I saw the clip of that, and she's asking him, and you could tell as he's listening to the question, you could just tell he already had his live face on, and then they've got a clip of him a couple years later admitting.
right, he's injected like 38 times or something like that. They were saying today on the radio. And you still got fans on sports radio calling in, sticking up for this guy, saying that they think he's innocent.
It's
again.
ridiculous.
Well, you know what? Not only he's not innocent, and we all know it, but you know what? I've seen a growing sentiment, which blows my mind. I've seen it on several news shows and a little bit on talk radio, where people are calling for the legalization
Yes.
of PEDs. and saying, you know what, we can't control it. Let them all do it.
Right.
Let them all do it. And I say, hell no.
No, that's
Even more ludicrous.
yeah, that's
I mean,
opening up.
You know, that's like legalizing murder because you can't stop it.
Right.
I mean,
Right. It's just retarded.
you know, you're ruining the game, A-Rod. You're ruining the game.
You're leading me into a platform. I want to make a point about this whole thing here. I'm not an A-Rod supporter, and everyone knows that. But a couple of things that strike me as odd during this whole process. It's not just A-Rod. I think it's more so, if you're going to let the inmates run the asylum, which is basically what's happened here over the last 20 years, you're going to have what's happening right now. This is Major League Baseball, and this is the New York Yankees and the other 30 teams and 31
shame on
teams.
C-League and shame on
Right.
Major League Baseball
So
for allowing
they're
that to happen.
they're now standing there on top of their ivory tower, and they're looking down, saying, "Ha, the Yankees are going to save, whatever, $60 million, and Seal's going to go off into the sunset as an 80-year-old commissioner who saved the game from steroids." Everyone's going to have a little medal to put on their wall. But here's something that I would like to bring out that I have not heard this anywhere. I told you guys I was going to mention a little bit about this.
Here comes the conspiracy theory. guys.
Well, not a conspiracy theory so much, but just follow along with my logic, if you will. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right. So, a player gets signed for, let's say, 10 years, $250 million, right? A player such as A-Rod. It could be any player. If you're about to sign a guy for $250 million, right, wouldn't you figure that in that scenario you're going to have a physical, right? That's standard operating procedure.
Yeah.
We're about to give this guy a guaranteed contract. Let's make sure he's not about to drop dead tomorrow of a carotid artery or something. Let's check this guy. Let's see if he's got a decent knees. Let's
You're
see.
making an investment
You're
and
ma-
you're protecting your
and
investment.
your insurance company insures that investment. They're going to certainly demand.
Yeah.
There's no way we're going to insure a $250 million liability unless we know if this guy's healthy.
Right.
30 years old notwithstanding, right? Okay, so wouldn't you expect that that exam would not be like your father's old exam that your father got, where the guy, you listen to your heart, listen to your
left and cough.
turn to the left and cough, you go on your way, this guy's in great shape. No, I would assume in today's day and age, this exam would be a battery of tests, no? Would you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Would you agree as part of that battery of exams, there would be a urine sample and a blood sample taken?
No question.
Would you also agree that at the end of looking at those results, we'd find out the LDLs, we'd find out the HDLs, and all the nonsense that we get on, this guy's got low vitamin
And
D.
maybe testosterone levels.
Hold on, your PSA levels, your this, your that, whatever comes on a standard run-of-the-mill $25 blood test taken at your, we all agree that is the case. So, the New York Yankees, and I'm not a Yankee basher, you guys know I'm a Yankee fan, but I'm just saying, they run through that process with A-Rod, correct? So, when those results come back, wouldn't you think a blood test or a urine sample would show steroids, marijuana, heroin,
course.
cocaine, any opiate
Testosterone
use,
levels.
testosterone levels, or anything out of the norm? Would you agree with me that information is available and probably documented the day before he signed that contract?
No question.
Okay, so now you're in a situation where I believe, and I haven't heard this anywhere, I believe that the day that not just him, but anyone that's signing any of these contracts, including Braun, that they knew full well exactly where they stood with this player in terms of whether he smoked pot or whether he took drugs or whether he's on something. So now,
In our
in my opinion, so now, to me, they're complicit in the entire scenario because at that point, you have to make a decision as an owner of a team. Do I want to make this guy part of my team when I know full well there's a problem here? And that down the line, if he gets suspended, I won't have to pay him. Whoop-de-doo, I'll save the money on that end of it. But you're complicit to the point where you're allowing it to go forward. Because I believe these guys knew all along and had known before they signed guys, when they signed them, and after they signed them, they knew that these guys were on steroids. So if they all want to stand there today,
Listen,
and
theory goes all the way back to McGuire and Sosa and Bonds. Because
all the way back.
Asses in the
it
seats.
saved the game, they say. And you know what? It was a very short-term fix. And what they got out of that short-term blew up in their faces long-term. Because you're absolutely right. I think the teams knew. I think the players obviously knew that the teams knew. Yeah. I think that Major League Baseball knew. I think that the Players Union knew. And they all conspired, and you're absolutely right. The bottom line, as much as this is a sport and we love it, the bottom line is this is a business, and they're trying to.
Entertainment business.
It's an entertainment business, and they are trying to generate as much revenue as they can.
And to that point, there's $100 million, give or take, on the table right now that's in flux. That $100 million, if you're the Yankees, it goes like this. Well, this guy's not as good as he used to be. He'll probably be even worse without the steroids. We can get any run-of-the-mill player to go out and hit 20 homers and drive in 80 runs and not be a problem in the clubhouse. Why are we going to pay this guy $28 million a year?
Yeah.
Hey, guess what? Maybe they even leak some of the biogenesis stuff.
Listen,
Let's get this guy suspended.
The Yankees would do virtually anything to get out of that
Get this
contract.
guy suspended. If we could grab $50 million out of this deal and run like hell with it,
And
why not?
It's not.
Why not?
It's not even a matter of performance, in my opinion. It's a matter of when this biogenesis thing broke. The Yankees at that point realized we've got a public relations nightmare on our hands. We can't ever have this guy in our uniform again. How do we get out of this? You know, maybe they were involved somehow in leaking some information.
I wouldn't doubt it
They
for 1 minute.
certainly were looking to find a way somehow to void his contract, find a way to get the insurance company to cover it, find a way to get A-Rod to retire. I mean, you know, it's obvious now that that's, you know, they're playing against each other in a nasty war that we don't know half of what's going on behind closed doors.
No.
Right.
I mean, I'd love to be a fly on the wall and hear what's being said at some of these meetings.
Oh, I guarantee you there is a conspiracy of some sort and some wishful thinking about how they're going to get out of the $100 million. But at the end of the day, my point to the whole thing is that, yeah, A-Rod is to blame, but you want to know something? He is a product of poor control of the game, poor ownership, and just downright foolishness.
See,
And-
but it goes beyond that with him. Because this
Well,
is a
he's
guy-
nuts. He's nuts.
This is a
Yeah.
guy that is so incredibly arrogant and narcissistic. This guy just doesn't realize that he's living in the real world. He doesn't realize that, you know, we're all living in a world that he doesn't feel he's part of, you know?
The height of his arrogance was shown in that interview last night, right? After the game. I mean, so like I said before, he goes on Katie Couric 4 years ago, denies it, and he comes out a couple months later and says, "Oh, you know, I put something into my body 38 times or whatever." So we know he's a liar, number one, and we know he's arrogant. And then he has the balls to go on TV last night.
Are you going to start doing it now?
I think
Folks, I'll be on by myself next week, as these two guys will be suspended, and the show will be off the air shortly thereafter.
Go back on.
just a quick disclaimer for the FCC. We apologize. You know, this is a very emotional topic.
I told you last week they're not watching.
So-
Nobody's watching.
We just want to apologize in advance to the FCC. Go ahead.
But then he goes back on and he says, "Oh, you know, we all wanted out of the game, this, that, and the other thing." Why should we even believe you? And then on the back of it, you're a damn liar. I mean, why would you even be negotiating with Major League Baseball on a plea deal if you didn't do it?
Yeah.
That by itself means you're guilty, right from the start.
He's playing on Monday. What are you talking about?
Well, I think what it's going to boil down to is the ultimate arrogance. If they do, you know, drop a suspension on him on Monday and he appeals,
Oh, that'll be a mess.
I tell you what, if that
And he's
if,
gonna. I think
That
you're right,
is going to be
listen,
a
if he
mess.
wants to salvage any part of his contract with the Yankees, if he wants to salvage any part of his career in Major League Baseball, he should accept a minimum of 100-game suspension, and he should walk away for a year and maybe find a way back somewhere with some team, whether it's the Yankees or not. But in my mind, you know, this guy's career should be over.
He'll be in the Mexican League for the next
If
2
there's
seasons.
a way to ban this guy for life, he doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame. He doesn't belong on a baseball field. You know, if there's a way for Seelig to do it, I hope he does it.
And you know, the sad part of this whole thing is that he was a very, very talented individual and didn't
Yeah.
need to do this. And he could have taken one of two paths, and he always goes down the wrong one.
Well, I'll tell you, you know, as talented as he was, you know, Sosa hit 60 a few times. McGuire hit 60 a couple of times. Bonds, we all know what he did. What's the most A-Rod ever had?
He was in the 50s. He
Yeah,
had
in the
50,
50s.
52, 53.
A-Rod, why
somewhere.
weren't you up at 70, my man? Maybe you're not that good after all.
We can't count those Trenton home runs, so don't even think about that for a minute.
Let's move on before I
All right.
blow a gasket here. Let's quickly review trades this week before we take a quick break. We had a couple of trades earlier in the season, and not in the waiver deadline process. We had Garza go, we had Feldman go, we had Soriano go. Those were what I thought were going to be the the appetizers, and it turned out to be the entrees. Not much this week. We came, we had the trade deadline come and go, the non-waiver trade deadline. You can still make trades through the end of August, but you have to pass the player through waivers, which makes it a lot more difficult. But this week, we, at the deadline, I think the big deal was Peavy.
Yeah, that's the one. I mean, the Red Sox shored things up with a good, solid pitcher. It opened up a spot in the rotation from the White Sox, pretty much. So
They got some middle relief, and you know what? The guys that they gave up, they weren't even top
No.
prospects in the Red Sox.
No.
They gave up Iglesias, who was probably the
Right.
biggest name in the deal, and he'll probably play right away. The interesting part about that, though, is that opens up a couple of spots, or at least one spot on the Red Sox roster. I think you're going to see either Bogarts or Middlebrooks, at third base, and Stephen Drew signed to a one-year deal, so he's going to be out of there. I think you're going to see Middlebrooks and Bogarts sooner than later.
Yeah, this is. I think you're absolutely right. I mean, we've all seen that they got Bogarts playing third base right
Yeah.
now down there.
Yep.
Because the
Yep.
two guys that they brought up, they are like non-hitters. Let's just say that.
Right.
So they're basically placeholders, and I think at some point we're going to see Bogarts and Middlebrooks back up because Stephen Drew's always one pitch away from the injured.
Yeah, well, listen, you know what? I mean, Bogarts is a major prospect. He came to the Red Sox in the Hanley Ramirez trade. So, he's a major prospect. A couple other quick deals. Tigers, Astros. Tigers get Jose Veras. From a fantasy perspective, that really hurts Veras, because he's going to be a setup guy there. They're going to continue with, with the situation that they have there.
And on the Astros end of it, it's nothing but a cloudy picture for a closer because any of three guys could close there. You have no clue.
It could be,
You don't know. You'll know probably better in a couple weeks, but today
Right.
you don't know.
Right.
And they don't win enough games to really make a difference anyway.
It doesn't make a
They have 36 wins, I think, this year.
Yeah, Veras had 19 saves, but Orioles, Astros, Orioles get Bud Norris. I think that's a pretty decent deal for
That's
them.
a good deal.
It bolsters their rotation. He's not going to be a stud, but he bolsters their rotation.
You know what? I'm not so keen on that deal, and the only reason why is I don't think the Orioles did their homework on that one. If you look at Bud Norris's numbers, he's 5-17 when he's not pitching at home, and he's got over a 6 run average. So,
Proceed with caution.
so he's good in Houston, but once you get him out of Houston, and that's over the last 2 years, so it's not
Yeah.
even like a 1-year sample; it's a 2-year sample of it. So
Well, proceed
We'll
with
see.
caution with Bud Norris.
yeah.
Interesting trade, kind of. D-backs and Padres. Padres go out and get Ian Kennedy, which could be a good move for them. I mean, the guy has good stuff. I mean, he's a head case.
That was a good
He's
buy
a head.
low.
He's a head hunter. But you're putting him in a good park, and
You're right.
that could be a good thing. A couple other quick ones: Angels and A's. Angels get Grant Green, who really was a top prospect until about a year ago, and the A's get Alberto Calaspo. Not a big deal. But anyway, that's about it on the trade front.
That's it.
All right, why don't we take a break, and we'll come back with some phone calls, and we'll get into our man crush. All right, we'll be back in a couple. Hey, we're back. Good Times Magazine, New York's best entertainment paper for over 45 years. Check out their calendar for the latest music info for New York City and across Long Island. Pick up your copy today or visit them on the web at goodtimesmag.com. Also want to mention we've got Christine and the Backwater Girls out at the Sayville Summertime Fest. So if you're in the area, go check them out. They're giving out some In Ravio merchandise and having some fun.
Look for the van.
Look for the van. All right, let's get into Man Crush.
With pleasure.
Would you like to start, or shall I start with...
You could start.
Okay. Matt Harvey, another...
Let me just show the people at home what was in the Admiral's bag. I just happened to notice that when I walked in, the Admiral was like this. Like this, and this.
I have never seen
At
this
the end of the-
magazine, ever.
He has seen this magazine.
Except for on what page is this?
In fact, the pages are quite worn, if you know what I mean.
Except for this page, you will not find my fingerprints on anything in that magazine.
Just wanted to point that out for the viewers at home.
All right.
And we move on.
This might be an appropriate time to do a little shout out to my wife.
Sure, I'd say that's a suitable picture for framing, wouldn't you?
It's on the mantle, right above the fireplace, next to the baby pictures.
All right, so anyway, we're on to Matt Harvey. Another typical Matt Harvey week. Pitched great. Wound up 0-1, 1.98 ERA, 0.8 WHIP, 15 strikeouts, 13 2/3 innings. You know, in his last start, he was pitching a one-hit game through 5. Gave up 3 runs, which I think is the most he's given up in a game all year, and wound up taking the loss and got a no decision in his other game. I mean, you know, it's just this is going to be what it's going to be for him this year. He's going to pitch great. He's going to get no decision. They're just not scoring runs for him.
It's a crime. It really is a crime. And now I don't even think it's gotten into his head yet, but it could very easily.
It could.
Because he's going to, listen, this guy, the Mets better fix this situation quickly because he's going to want to fly the coop at some time
this
soon.
is a guy that takes this very seriously. He wants to be the best. And he's in a situation where he's pitching well enough to win the Cy Young Award, but he's not going to win. Just not enough wins.
He gets no offensive support. It's going to get even worse now with David Wright's hamstring issue. So he went down yesterday.
Tom Seaver said it best. He said, Tom Seaver said if he didn't leave the Mets, he would have barely broke 200 wins in his career. Obviously, he won over 300. Listen, if that matters to you, the same thing's going to happen to Harvey unless they straighten out the offense, which I think they will.
They will.
Not this year.
You know, unfortunately, the Mets couldn't find a way to part with the indispensable Marlon Byrd at the trade deadline. You know, I don't know what these guys are thinking. You know, if you want to fix this problem,
that's a perfect piece to use to fix it.
It was, and he had high trade value at that point.
Trade the guy, find out what you have in your system now. Roll them all out. If there's nobody out there, then you know what you have to do in the offseason, be a trade or free agency.
You got to stick Wilmer Flores somewhere on that team. I don't care if he can't field anything. I don't care if he can't catch a cold. He has to play.
Yeah.
He's no sense in having a guy hitting, 360 in AAA, whatever he's doing. You got to have him on the major league roster and go and see what happens.
It was criminal not to move Bird. He should have stopped.
I mean, I agree with him not trading Parnell. I think, you've got a 20-year.
I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with that. But Bird, come on. Yeah. All right, what's up with Puig?
Did anyone happen to see the highlights from last night's game?
Oh my God! He is the most entertaining
This
guy to watch.
I got to tell you something. There is no doubt in my mind this is the best defensive outfielder in the league right now, both leagues. Did you see the 2 plays? Okay, the 1 play, diving attempt, he didn't catch it. Hit the glove. In fact, it looked to me like he didn't even need to dive. I think he could have caught that on the run because it hit like the heel of his glove, but okay.
He's got a little showboat in him.
But the second one, that was a play. Another dive down the first base line, and did you see it at the end?
Yeah.
He looked like Superman sliding across the grass. But aside from that, did you see the throw? That's the thing with this guy that separates him from everyone.
And had Uribe been placed properly,
The guy would have been out again. Now, I don't know why these guys are running on this guy is beyond me. You will not take the base on this guy unless someone blows the tag.
And he deeped him too. He approached it slow like he was going to hock him, and then he came up. And
he has extreme accuracy, and he's not throwing the ball over everyone's head. He can throw the ball exactly where he wants to. From a hitting standpoint, it's a relatively quiet week. I mean, he had a couple of hits last night.
It wasn't a bad week. A couple of
homers, stolen base, 5 runs scored. Man, he is the cog in that team, and he has changed that team. He changed it before Hanley did. Let the record show that team was dead.
He woke Hanley up, to be honest.
He woke everybody up.
He woke up that whole
He woke the entire city up. So I give them props for for going ahead and making that move, and they did. And I don't know where it's going from here, but man,
Well, guy's going to be a stud. There's no
Yeah.
question. I mean, he has the tools. If he keeps his head on straight, he's going to be a stud. What's up with Manny?
This is going to be short. The problem is there's nothing up with Manny. He's below the Mendoza line. He's got 1 home run, 3 RBIs. He's been really struggling since the All-Star break.
Yeah, a couple of bad weeks in a row. He's still having a decent season, and
He's just under 300 now. So.
you can't fault a 20-year-old.
No.
He's going to have some slumps. He's going to, be a little up and down.
he hasn't even learned how to hit yet.
Yeah,
So
I think we've yet to see the best of him. So.
All right, let's go right into who's hot and who's not. Some interesting names this week. Edwin Encarnacion. Just still really getting it done, having a great year. 462 this week, 3 home runs, 9 runs batted in, 6 runs scored.
Every year when the draft comes up and this guy shows up and I can pick him, I don't take him because I think, this is flash in the pan. But he's done it for a couple of years now.
Nah, he's the real deal
He's
now.
the real deal.
He's the
There's
real
no
deal.
doubt.
all right, the one thing I will say about this guy that, he has followed almost the exact same path as Jose Bautista. If you look at their careers prior to their breakout seasons, they were, I'll call them journeyman-type players with very pedestrian statistical numbers.
Right.
They were 15 homer guys and 50 RBIs, and granted, maybe only 350 at-bats, but still, there was never any indication. That went on for years at Bautista, and then boom, 40 homers, and then
Even
this
to a
guy,
lesser degree,
same thing.
Kind of followed the same path. He was good.
You're right.
He was a 20, 80 guy every year, but then he busted out.
I guess what I'm saying is, can we get a urine sample, please?
It's a good point.
Please. Jason Hayward finally starting to come to life. I've been riding this guy all year, and
Lead off.
321 this week though. 3 home runs, 8 runs batted in, and 11 runs scored this week. Thank you, Mr. Hayward.
It's incredible. He's really taken off now.
Yeah.
He seems to have woken up Mr. Upton as well.
Yes.
As a result, he's
Yes, he
actually
did.
making some appearances now.
And another guy that's really, really under the radar, but Chris Johnson for the Braves. He's not hitting for power, but 16 for 29 last week, 552 batting average, 6 runs batted in, 7 runs scored, 7 straight multi-hit games. I don't know if he got a hit last night. I'll have to check, but this guy's, he's got a chance of winning the batting title.
That's the part that I can't believe. I mean, this guy had to be undrafted in most leagues. He was undrafted in our league. I can't see anyone. This guy's on the brink of winning a batting title with, 5-6 weeks to go.
Yeah.
And he hits at the bottom of the order. I mean, the other things are lacking. I think he just got to 40 RBIs this week.
Yeah.
Oh no,
Well,
he's he's gonna give you nothing. But
Well, yeah, you're right. It's,
one-dimensional player, but
you can't argue with the average.
yeah. And our 3rd Brave in a row. The Braves are heating up here. We got Mike Minor, 2-0 this week, 0.64 ERA, 0.43 WHIP. And he's been solid all year.
yeah, no, it's
Guy's having a great
just
season.
another good week for him.
How about Justin Masterson?
I like him. I used to draft him a lot. You go up and down with him, though. You get a good long hot streak with him, and then he'll go cold for a little bit. But
Well, he got you a couple of wins this week.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
great peripheral numbers, 0.63 ERA, 0.98 WHIP, 15 strikeouts, and 14 2/3.
No, it's been great.
And Henderson Alvarez.
yeah, he's had great stuff.
I
of
like
late.
this guy. I liked him last year. Wasn't thrilled about him going to Miami, but 2-0 this week, 1.35 ERA.
Well, another guy that was out there in our league, available, and I could sense the apprehension. No one wanted to take a flyer on him, and I wish I would have now, honestly.
And how about Chris Perez? What a week he had. I think he finally, the cloud has subsided. Guy wins 2 games in a relief role, wins 2 games, saves 2 games, 0 ERA this week.
And the FedEx driver has been told, don't stop at Chris Perez's house. Just keep on going.
Keep on going.
The Indians gave him a few bucks and said, look, whatever this guy orders, don't deliver it. Just keep on going.
All right, who's not, fellas?
Oh, boy. There's a lot
We got
of
a
those.
couple of guys. These games, these stats are through Thursday's game.
You don't want to add any more to them. They're already bad.
Todd Frazier, 0 for 20.
Whoop-de-doo. What about Matt Wieters? Another 0 for 20.
Another 0 for 20.
I'll give you Josh Johnson. I actually just dropped him. I can't take it anymore. Earn on average over 6, and he's just
0 and 2 this
like
week.
batting practice up there. Yeah.
he's given up, I think, 7 runs in his last 2 starts. In each of his last 2
Yes.
starts. ERA this week of 14.63, 2.63 WHIP.
Terrible.
The guy's, he's a batting machine right now. Just
I don't know. He's got to have arm trouble or something. Because
Something wrong.
you just don't go. I mean, and he's got a history of it too. So.
and this was a dominant
was,
pitcher for a
was.
while, and he's just
Marlins were good in unloading them when they did.
they did. Adam LaRoche 1 for 23. Matt Carpenter 2 for 27. That's a
Well,
rough week.
hey, but that one there, you can live with the way he's played this year anyway.
I guess so. Bad week. Here's a guy that's blowing a major opportunity though. Anthony Rendon. Guy goes 2 for 20 this week, and now the whispers for Espinoza are starting again. So
He's been playing pretty well down there.
and he has. And then finally, Willie Peralta, who I can't figure out. I pick him up, I drop him, I pick him up, I start him, I sit him. I don't know what to do with this guy. He's either dominant or he gets knocked around the park. He was 0-2 this week, 8.31 ERA, 1.96 WHIP.
These are the kind of guys that if they're on your roster, you now have the countdown to September 1st. Most league playoffs begin right around the first week in September. You're going to have to start making decisions on some of these guys. What are you doing with them? If you can't trust them, you can't start them. If you're not going to start them, you're better off probably dropping them and picking up a guy that you might trust.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, and there's a lot of guys like that. It's not just Peralta. There's plenty of players that you might not want to play.
Listen, I finally sat Ryan Zimmerman last night because I just couldn't take him getting knocked around. And he went out and pitched a pretty good game, but you're right. You don't know what to do with these guys half the time. All right, let's talk about who's hurt, who's coming back, who's not coming back.
God.
David Wright got hurt last night.
Yeah, hamstring injury. No prognosis yet on how long.
No
it's gonna
prognosis,
develop,
but it looked like it might be serious.
Yeah.
He looked like he was in a pretty good amount of pain.
Those hamstring injuries usually take a while.
Yeah.
So.
Just what the Mets need, less offense.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, and then, speaking about less offense, we are now, August 3rd?
Yep.
Right. Is Ike Davis still the first baseman here? What are we doing? I mean, in all honesty, at this point, it's over, it's done. I'm sorry, everyone likes Ike, Mike and Ike, this and that and everything else. Guys, it's over for he can't hit. It's it. You gave him more than enough chances to hit. He can't hit.
This year, after the second half that he had last year, I was really high on him coming into this year. I thought he was going to really break out. And I projected him myself for 300 batting average, 30, 35 home runs, 100 runs batted in. Not
He's
close.
gotten 50 chances. It's enough already. They've got that guy down in the minors, that guy Flores, who's hitting. At this point, you have 0 to lose. 0. Just
Right.
put him in there and go. I mean, it's getting to the point now where it's so hard to watch this team with Ike Davis at the plate. You start to feel bad for the guy before the first pitch is even thrown. Seriously, you can feel it when he gets to the plate,
Yeah, I think he needs to go down.
He needs to break a leg
Well, he needs to go
and
down
get
the
on the
line
injury list.
for an extended period of time. This guy needs to, the Mets almost have to treat him like a prospect at this point and no longer a viable major league player.
They need to treat him as a part-time pinch hitter who backs up at first base. He's good defensively. This guy's
Well,
not.
he's
This
young
guy is
enough-
not a full-time
He's
major league
young
player.
enough where
He's not.
there's still a chance. But you're right. I mean, I'm really down. Melky Cabrera out on the DL. I don't know what his story is in terms of a suspension. I'm not sure if is this one of the time served guys.
No, he's time served guy. He will not. He will not face any type of. I don't think any disciplinary action from this. He's already done. So.
Okay. Pujols finally on the DL with a foot.
Boy, I tell you, hold your breath out there, folks. Hold your breath, because I don't know. This is going bad quickly for Pujols.
They should just hit him the rest of the season.
Age, injury, and everything else combined. I don't know where we're headed with this guy, but
It's a bad
you're
situation.
8 years out from the end of that contract, LA.
Bad
Good luck.
Contract, and this is going to be interesting to watch for the next few years. Big hit for me this week, Yadier Molina. A knee problem, and the guy was just having a tremendous season. And when you go out, when you lose Molina, and you go out on the waiver wire to try to find a replacement for this
Yeah,
guy,
it's pretty slim.
it's
right?
pretty slim. It's pretty slim. Gallardo hamstring, he's on the DL. Matt Moore elbow.
That's scary. That one.
doesn't look good, that one.
That one there. Hello. What's the guy's the doctor's name that does the Tommy John surgery? Give him a call because Tommy John is next.
You know what? As soon as you hear elbow, that's the first thing you think of. And you know, I'm sure in a week or so we'll be talking about the Tommy John surgery. Dominic Brown, close to returning. He had the concussion.
Good luck.
Yeah. That could be a lingering issue. I hope it's not. And Granderson back last night.
Didn't do anything, but at least he's back in line. Now we have an semblance of a lineup. I mean, the Padres just basically walked all over us yesterday, and your man CC there, Admiral, got blown up, which, as you predicted back about 6 weeks ago when you said CC was done. At this stage of the game, I would really just wonder where he's at with his arm, because he doesn't look like anywhere near what he could have been.
Here's a guy that's lost velocity.
It just looks horrendous,
and
too.
looks horrendous.
No control. I mean,
He's
it's
thrown a lot of innings over the last
just
4 years.
You
I
know,
don't
you
know.
wonder, did that finally catch up with him, you know?
You're right.
I mean, but he's on a real bad roll right now. He's, you know, I think it's, 4 starts in a row where he's just...
Yeah, his ERA is nearly 5. I mean,
You know, it wouldn't be a bad idea for them to
take
sit
some
him for a
time off,
couple,
sit him
bring up
down,
Pineda, let Pineda
do
throw
something,
a little bit.
anything. I mean, because you're at this stage of the game, they're probably not making the playoffs anyway. It makes more sense to sit him down, make sure he's right. You got a couple more years to go with
Look at
this
his
guy.
last 4 starts.
Oh, they're
5
terrible.
runs, 7 runs, 7
Terrible.
runs, 8 runs.
No, it's horrendous.
I mean, you're right. It's time to find out what's wrong with this guy. And
Get him healthy. Do what you got to do.
They haven't brought Pineda up.
I am too.
Giving him a little bit of a breather here, you know, especially.
Yeah, I
this
think
year.
you're going to see something like that happen.
I think so. I think you'll find that pretty soon. All right, let's take a rundown on the farm.
Hold on, there's one more guy who's injured right
hold
now,
on.
who's scaring me a little bit now. Miguel Cabrera. Now this injury seems, rather,
Not too serious.
non-serious situation, but I don't know, man. These, what do they call those? Abdominal strains? Not abdominal
Right?
strains. Lat strains.
They are, yeah.
Oblique.
The obliques. These obliques are getting out of hand, and they never seem to go away. These guys are out for months at a clip with these stupid things. And now he was down, then he came back, then he went back out again. He was supposed to start yesterday, was in the lineup, then they scratched him.
I haven't even heard of these oblique injuries until a couple of years ago.
I don't know.
I think this is a product of guys, whether they're on roids or not. I think, guys are doing so much more in the weight rooms nowadays than they used to.
They're creating muscles that Babe Ruth didn't have.
Exactly. And you know what? And they're susceptible now to these freak injuries. I think that's what's
Right.
going on. But
He's scaring me because
let me tell you something, pal. You and everybody else out there that's got Cabrera, you better keep your fingers crossed.
I don't even have a backup for him right now. So when he doesn't play, I don't
is
play
no
anyone.
backup for
Well,
you.
I mean, at least a body to fill the position. So I'm kind of just waiting with bated breath to see what's going on with this guy.
All right, you want to give us your weekly George Springer
I am so
outburst?
disgusted. Let me tell you something. Right now, I'm ready to curse now. That's what you got me with this thing. This whole George Springer thing is so ridiculously out of hand. He has a shot now to go 40-40. He's almost up to 30. He's got 36 steals. He'll have to hit some home runs. He's only got 29. What is he at? 29 homers, I think.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah,
got
he just needs one.
All right,
It'll be 30,
guys,
30, right?
I don't even know why everyone's not outraged about. Why am I the only one outraged about this? The Houston Astros have 0. They are 36-72. No one can play on that damn team. And you got a guy in the minors who has an on-base percentage over 400. He is hitting over 300. He's over 300 at the AAA level. He's tearing it up. He's got 36 stolen bases, 29 homers. He's up to, I think, 89, 90 RBIs. Guys, this
Now,
is
we've all
beyond
said it.
ridiculous.
This
What
is
are
a
we
guy
doing with this guy?
that should be getting his seasoning in now.
What is it to be gained?
You want to laugh. I'm wondering the same thing. I'm like, how could they not be bringing this guy up? They're so brutal. So I did a little poking around, like the local papers.
Yeah,
for-
what are
for
they
the area.
saying?
Yeah.
And the club response was they don't like his strikeout ratio.
Strikeout ratio.
Are you
Houston.
kidding me?
Houston. Have you seen some of the hitters in your freaking field? Nobody can hit there.
I was like, you gotta be kidding me.
I don't know.
That's so
I mean, they're obviously
It's gotta be
taking
another
it
reason.
slow. They don't want him to come up and be overwhelmed, I guess.
Taking it slow at this rate, he'll be 30.
Listen.
He's already 24.
You know what?
And they just traded Maxwell too, right? Justin
At this
Maxwell, right?
point, you bring him up. You let him finish the last couple of months
Absolutely.
up here. Let him get a taste of what it's all about. And then you evaluate where you are. I mean, it's ridiculous.
How only Houston can get away with this. If this was New York, forget about it. This would never fly. So.
Next guy we talked about a little bit earlier was Xander Bogaerts. grab him now if you don't, if he's available in your league. I think he's going to be playing the hot corner up in Boston, sooner than later. Him or Middlebrooks, and they're not happy with what Middlebrooks is doing right now. So
Yeah,
I think Bogarts is going to get the first shot.
he's doing a little bit better in the minors than he was up here because he was on the Mendoza.
He's doing okay, but he's not
hitting
lighting
home
up.
runs.
He's
Yeah.
not
Just
lighting up.
remember one thing about players at this point where we are right now, especially teams like the Red Sox or any of these teams that are in the hunt for a playoff spot. Those guys have to be on the roster by August 31st. So that means the call-up is coming. They're not going to wait till midnight on August 31st to do this. They're going to do it soon. So your wait time won't be that long. If they're going to do it, it's going to happen. Because I think the only way you can add them after that is injury. Can you still add them after injury?
I
Yeah,
believe
for
so.
injury. So, but if they
Well,
want to have them on the roster,
Well, the roster's expanded.
no, I'm talking about for the playoffs.
playoffs.
If you're going to be in the playoffs,
Right.
you want the guy on the roster prior to
I think the way it works
August 31st.
is the only way to call somebody up is in the event of an injury, and that player has to already be on the 40-man roster.
Right.
I'm pretty sure that's the way it works.
So you're going to see some of
and
these
the
guys.
rosters expand to 40 on September 1st. So, if you don't see some of these guys getting called up now, you're going to see a lot of these guys September 1st. You're going to see, maybe Michael Waka. You're going to see,
Probably
Bradley.
George Springer.
Probably Springer, Travis, No, I think you're going to see Billy Hamilton might be up. And you know what? Billy Hamilton, if he gets regular playing time up here, if you're in a rotisserie league and you need to make up some ground in the stolen base category, that's a guy that can help you in a hurry.
You know, there's one other guy that the Angels actually just brought up to replace Pujols. Cole Calhoun, not Brian Calhoun of Mount Sinai Brewer fame, but Cole Calhoun.
Homered last night, went 4 for 5.
Brian Calhoun
Right.
of the fantasy or the Flag
Yes.
Football Hall of Fame.
Yeah, Flag Football Hall of Fame. Shout out. Brian,
Yes.
Hashtag Brian Calhoun.
But he's hitting 444.
What is he? I gotta ask you, what's his rank right now?
A rank right now in the General's Army,
Are we captain?
in the Alliance.
Corporal?
He has, he's gone up and down. At this point in time, based on his non-performance this year, he has been reduced in rank back to Corporal Calhoun. I now make that announcement live to 7.2 billion people.
He got busted down. Okay.
You're going to have to make up a lot of ground to get those strikes back to be Captain Calhoun, so you better pull it together real quick.
Yeah, so he's doing real well since taking over for Pujols. Hitting 444. He was an 8th round pick back in 2010. And in the minors, he was tearing it up this year. He's hitting 354, 15 doubles, 6 triples, 12 home runs, and 49 runs batted in 59 games. And he's got a history in the minors as a good hitter. So I think we might see some production out of him down the stretch. So if you got a deep league, he'd be a good pickup.
Yeah.
What was he going to
He's
play?
only going to play against righties from what we've seen. The lefties, they've been sitting on.
Right.
That's the problem.
And you've got some other guys who are going to probably wind up getting the September call up. Guys like Oscar Taveras, I think will get. They'll be up. There are a bunch of guys that their look-see.
There's another guy right now that is very quietly going about his business and probably available in a lot of leagues. I know he's available in our league. I look at this guy every day, and I question.
I think I know who he is.
I-
He on Kansas City?
He's on Kansas
Yeah,
City.
I know who you're gonna say.
I mean, this guy, I don't know if anyone's paying attention or cares or whatever, but David Loff is out there. He's hitting over 300, 4 homers, 23 RBIs. I mean, look, there's a guy who should be on someone's roster. He's hitting 326 since the break. Good outfield that can fill in, give you some steals. Should be on someone's radar out there somewhere. He's playing well. 27-year-old. He's not exactly a spring chicken, but still, he's got his chance right now. He's making the most of it.
Yeah. Anybody else?
You see the catch that Shuck made last night?
Yeah, falling
In
into
the
the crowd there.
falling into the crowd. That was
I didn't see it.
what's his name? JB Shuck
Yeah.
on California on the Anaheim Angels.
Batista hit it, actually.
Batista hits a bomb to left field. Now, that's one of the fields where there actually is the ability where basically the railing is about waist high. So he goes out there, he basically leaps, catches the ball. There's no way to stay on the field. He went rear end first, right into the first row, held on to the ball. He disappeared from sight line, disappeared.
Did he help himself to somebody's popcorn?
Not like Don Mattingly used to do.
I gotta tell you, that was one of the funniest things I've ever seen. Though was Mattingly with the popcorn.
Yeah.
David Wright has just been placed on the DL, so he is officially out. He will miss a couple of weeks, definitely.
Yeah.
You know something we were talking about in the break mentioning is this Jose Fernandez has been unbelievable. He's I just heard on the MLB channel today. He is the first player since Randy Johnson to have back-to-back 13-plus strikeouts, and he's the first rookie since Kerry Wood to do it.
Yep.
He is quietly, well, not so quiet now, but he's been going about his business down there. I mean, he's right there with Harvey, and the performances that he's putting out there is unbelievable. He's been lights out.
This is your Rookie of the Year. This is going to be him. I mean, this is the award that him and Matt Harvey could have battled for had Harvey held back from one start last year. He'd be eligible this year, but he's not. It's going to end up being this guy. He's outpitched. I think Shelby Miller might be eligible for the Rookie of the Year, but.
And the key about those two, too, is usually we see a lot of times when these rookie pitchers come up, they light the league on fire, but second time around, they usually get touched up pretty good.
Yeah,
It
you see
hasn't
that
happened
happen.
with these two. It hasn't,
You
know?
see that happen, and you're right. There are some guys that,
And by the way, his season is probably rapidly ending. Some quick math, and you guys know that's not my strong suit. If he goes 7 innings over the next 5 starts, that'll bring him to 35 innings. He's at one. That'll be on 160. He's done.
Yeah,
he's
said,
got
between 160 and
he's got 5 starts left on your fantasy radar,
Harvey,
folks.
same thing. Harvey's going to,
And you know
down
what?
the limit.
The Mets especially, there's no point in doing it to them.
No, absolutely
Save
zero.
them for next year.
Absolutely zero.
Let's take a look at this other guy, Patrick Corbin. Is this guy going to make it to the end of the year? Seriously, I mean, all right, he's only at 145 innings, let's call it, 145. He's never pitched more than, the highest amount he's ever pitched anywhere is 160. So he is going to eclipse that in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're going to have to make a decision on how they want to handle him. They're fighting for a pennant, with the Dodgers. So Corbin having the most ridiculous season of all, is he going to make it until the end of September? You know?
You're gonna pull a
How do you sit him down?
Strasburg
You
last
can't
year.
do it. I mean, I say you can't sit him down, but
You can't,
Well-
and I really took exception with that last year because the Nationals really had a good shot at it last year, and this year they're floundering. You know, you
Go-
never know when you're going to get.
go to
that
the
shot.
6-man rotation and be done with it.
Exactly.
That's the way to handle it.
That's I think the new trend you're going to see is when you're breaking in these younger kids, you're going to see people doing the 6-man rotation, which makes sense. I mean, your point is right on with what happened with Strasburg last year. You can't take for granted in any year that your team is going to make the playoffs in the major leagues. And when you've got a great opportunity and your best pitcher is not available to you, down the stretch and into the playoffs, that's a big problem.
That's a
big
different
problem.
series if he's pitching 2 games in that series. You know, it's.
Oh, no question.
I was irate with it. I couldn't believe they actually stuck to that.
Just a footnote to our announcement that David Wright's been added to the DL. The Mets, in their infinite wisdom, have called up
Don't tell me.
Whitestone, the pride of Whitestone, New York, man known for 1 catch in the history of his career, and that will be Mike Baxter.
And you know what?
And
You know what? He will live on in
very well for the rest of his life with that 1 catch.
For that 1 catch.
While you have Mr. Wilmer Flores is sitting down there at AAA, 14 homers, 85 RBIs, hitting .320, wondering. And by the way, he is listed on this as a 3rd baseman. Gee whiz, they just lost a 3rd baseman. You think, God, Mets, honestly, Sandy, all you got. I would rather have Bernie Madoff run the team at this stage of the game. Where are we going with all these players? I don't understand any move they make. I don't get at this point. So, Wilma, bring Fred Flintstone with you because you're about to join the circus.
Anything else before we wrap up, guys? Any pearls of wisdom for our 7.2 billion people out there?
I've got one more for you. We have Alexander Guerrero, top player in Cuba who has defected in January as a free agent. He's reportedly going to sign a $32 million deal with the Dodgers. It has failed to finalize, so he's now available to anyone.
I wonder if we had anything to do with helping bring
Listen,
him over,
to
persuade
Cuba.
him.
Cuba, we haven't done business with you in 40 years. Now all of a sudden, all you can do is give us baseball players.
Trade embargo's been lifted.
God almighty.
And cigars. That's what they're good for.
It's incredible.
All right, we'll wrap it up.
Yep.
All right, guys. Thanks for joining us this week again. We'll see you next week on Fantasy Baseball Code Red on Enravio.com.
We'll see you at Swan Lake tomorrow for the Generals Cup. You guys better bring your money.